This is Greg with IoT World, and we are here at Hanover Messe 2025, and I'm with John Harrington, Chief Product Officer for HiByte. Once again, John, how are you?
Good morning, Greg. I'm well. How are you?
Doing great.
It's day three.
It's day three, that's right. We're
exciting.
at hump day. It is exciting. You know, you said a couple different sessions and conversations that data ops and AI accelerate each other. You know, where do you see the biggest untapped opportunities and synergies with that comment?
Interesting question. So, you know, we think about AI as, so we're a data ops solution, and AI can support data ops, meaning it can help accelerate and it can reduce the load on doing the transformations and on configuring the solution. Right? AI is kind of being placed in everything, and data ops is another place where it can go in. But the other piece is that AI is, everyone's talking about it, is AI is for industrial purposes, right? AI is for how do I improve my factory yield? How do I reduce my maintenance? How do I improve quality? Data ops delivers the data for that AI. So
it's feeding
AI
that, right?
needs data. In fact, I often think of it as data is the oxygen for AI, and you need to make sure that it's clean and good data and consistent, or else the AI can't operate, right? So the whole idea is we can enable industrial AI to scale fast and efficiently.
Are you seeing, you know, with this, I guess this synergy or these two things working together, I mean, are you seeing either new roles or new workflows start to emerge in organizations in the industrial environment?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is the emergence of companies thinking about a data strategy. And the challenge is that traditionally in the industrial space, the strategy has been, well, I've got MES and I've got SCADA and I've got historians. It's a very application-centric strategy when it comes to enterprise systems. What we're seeing is people are recognizing, I need a data strategy. And because all of those systems, I've got so many of them, I need to have a strategy for how I manage and deploy data across all of them. And I'm using all these new systems from the cloud vendors and from the AI vendors. So if I can build out a data strategy, then I can rapidly deploy and I can have a much more agile environment and deliver the data where it needs to be to the AI or to the execution systems that need it.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, I mean, AI needs, and you hinted around this too, it needs data, but it needs quality data, right?
Yes.
So, I mean...
And consistent. Well, so what is quality in industrial data? Well, most of our data is coming off machinery. So it's not like people are typing it in wrong.
Right.
The bad quality data off machinery is data that you can't use. And there are a couple of reasons that you can't use data. If you don't understand what the different data points are, you don't even know where that machine is located and how that machine is related to the line or the environment that it's in, then that's bad quality data. It's just data that you can't use. The other area where we see bad quality data is data that's not consistent. So I collected it for 30 minutes, and then I had a 5-minute gap. And then I collected another 2 hours of data, and then I had an 8-minute gap. That makes it really hard to analyze that data. So consistency of data and usability of data are what define quality data when it comes to industrial data.
Does that give systems hiccups when you see that kind of a time gap or lag?
Yes. Imagine you not having that oxygen for 5 minutes. You can't operate. Yeah. It's the same thing with the AI. If all of a sudden it's working and working and working, and then it loses the data, it doesn't know what to do. So we need systems that have highly consistent data, and we need to drive that and make sure that that's happening. And if there is a problem, and look, there are always going to be small hiccups. We need to instantly be able to react to those problems. First you have to know about it, and then you have to be able to react. And that's why having data ops platforms enables you to do that. You can instantly see and be notified, we have a data challenge, we need to address this, and this is what the problem is, this is the system that went down, this is the firewall that someone made a settings change that we need to adjust. So you need to be able to just react very quickly so you can continue to deliver that data.
Do you have a feel for how much of that is automated in terms of reaction versus just an individual, getting a feedback system from the AI or from the operating systems? It just vary.
We're trying to automate as much as absolutely possible. But it's similar to in a factory today. We used to have individuals. One individual would load material into a work cell, another individual would take material out and move it elsewhere, another individual would be at the controls panel to make sure that everything was working properly. Then we automated it and we started taking humans out. Now what we're seeing is there's still one human who's managing maybe 6 or 8 work cells, because they're the ones that are making sure that everything is working and orchestrating. And so you actually we're taking operators and they're becoming almost like information workers, because now we have to provide them with the information, and those people are not just operating the equipment, they're maintaining it, they're reacting to problems, they're fixing, they're replacing serviceable parts. We have the same problem with data. So whereas before we may have needed an army of people to try and fix and curate and do whatever, we're automating all that. But you still need a few people to make sure that the orchestration is going well, and when something goes wrong, to be able to react to that. So a big part of it is how do we automate as much as possible, but then we also have to provide the connections so that a user can walk up to a system and instantly understand what's going on, where the problem is, and what they have to do to fix it.
That's no small task, right?
No, because the volumes of data are just increasing, and the uses of data are increasing. So it's magnified the problem, but fortunately we have a lot of systems to be able to support it.
No, it's interesting to watch it emerge. You hear rumblings and talk now of verbal interfaces in the industrial environment, where it sounds kind of futuristic. I mean, how close do you think we are to making that a reality, where you're on the shop floor, you're just going to be talking to your equipment, no programming required any longer?
It is getting closer. It is getting closer, and the ultimate is if you can picture Jarvis from Iron Man, right? Where you've got this person, they're friendly, they're a friend of yours, and they're sitting over your shoulder and they're feeding you information before you even know that you need it, but they're also reacting to your questions and being able to deliver it. I think we're still a ways off from that, but we're getting closer with every year. And so we've got LLMs now that can interact with us, can talk to us. The challenge, though, is that now we're using agents and the agentic AI that can use that LLM to then ask the questions, but then we get a more predictable and more deterministic result set from it. So the LLM is the interface between the human, but then you're running a lot of other analytic tools behind it to be able to very precisely deliver that data so that we don't have hallucinations and things like that.
Do you see agentic AI as kind of like the next evolution in terms of efficiencies in this?
Definitely. Because what agentic AI does is it merges together multiple other AI systems, so LLMs and other AI, machine learning, and that kind of stuff. And then it breaks it down into very specific tasks. So it's not unlike automation, where you break the automation down to a specific task, and then you can define it and you can provide the data to it, and the agent can work on that. We don't have agents that can be as broad as a human yet, but we have the technology to have thousands or tens of thousands of agents running, doing their own specific tasks, and then other agents being able to communicate with the agents. So you can kind of roll that up, and then you provide the information to a human. So it's exciting. There's lots of changes, and there's even more coming.
Yeah, indeed. Look forward to seeing it. Thanks, John.
It's exciting. Thanks, man.
All right.
Good talking with you.